Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the DoubleClutch.ca podcast. I'm your host, Nick, managing editor of DoubleClutch.ca magazine, and we are joined in studio by Nathan, Addy, and a special guest, dear friend of DoubleClutch, freelance automotive writer and photographer extraordinaire, Jeff Wilson. Nathan, why don't you take it from here?
Well, we were supposed to be getting into auto show coverage because it is kind of a big week for car news in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff Wilson has some grievances he would like to air.
Yeah, I've got a lot of problem with you people. Problems. See, I have problems with you people. There you go. And listening to the last couple of weeks of podcasts there, you've made some horrible decisions and claims and things like that. And so I'm just here to correct things for you.
Okay.
So going back Going back 2 weeks now, there was some
You remember things from 2 weeks ago?
What?
Well, no, I just listened to it in the car on the way here so that I had something to say.
Fresh grievances.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks ago, you guys were talking about the Mercedes S-Class. And Nick, I think you had the PHEV version of it.
Yes.
As you were very affectionately calling it.
PHEV, yeah.
PHEV.
I think that was me. I'm usually the dumb onomatopoeia moron.
And so the general gist was that most of you guys decided that the V8 version was the sensible choice for the S-Class. So the S580, and that Nick, you still preferred the PHEV version for some silly reason.
Yeah.
And so the point here is that you're all wrong.
Okay.
Because the best S-Class that's available right now is the one that's both. So it's the plug-in hybrid V8, which is the S63 e-Power. And that car is absolutely one of the most extraordinary machines I have ever driven in my life. It is simply magnificent.
We often forget about that one and that it exists.
Yes, someone did fly us out to check it out, so we forgot it was there. Jeff, we don't get to go on all these fancy trips like you do, Jeff. So we forgot. Jeff, we're stuck with what's in Toronto. Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's coming.
So I've actually driven it. I agree with you, but also don't agree with you. I agree with everything you're saying about how extraordinary the car is. It is. But I've never been, in the same way that I've never been the biggest fan of the S63 in general. I think that when they try to go all sport with the low pro tires and the big brakes and the sport suspension, and even in its most comfortable setting, the S63 still rides significantly choppier than the regular 580. I think it takes away from the essence of luxury that the S-Class is known for, and hence I'm going to stick to my to my decision and to go and vote for the S580 gas motor with the big V8 and all the lux.
Hold on. Is your 580 not on 22s?
No, it's on 21s.
Oh, yes.
But on those 20...
As we all know, 1 inch makes a big difference.
Well, the size of it matters is how you use it.
So, no, but even on the 21s is what I'm saying. But, the S63 is on very low pro tires. It's on sportier tires than the I would assume, than the P0s that the 580's on. Because the one I had driven, I cannot remember the exact spec of the tires, but... It rode and drove very choppy. So some sort of permutation between tire and rim combo versus how the suspension is sprung. It does make it sportier and more aggressive, which if you're driving it hard all the time, yes, that's what you want. Right? I have a friend with a Brabus 600 or Brabus 63 from like 10 years ago, and he drives it like a raging asshole 100% of the time. Fine, that makes sense. But I find myself in a calm state of mind whenever I drive the 580, and it just kind of agrees with you and whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, and in fairness, I did only drive it in Southern California roads where it was smooth and
absolutely
nice.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So that was sort of an optimal situation there. But
that does sound like a sweet recipe, though.
Oh, God. Well, and this was the thing,
not wrong.
Was that, if you're cruising around and you're going from business meeting to valet station to valet station, it does that really well. It's got loads of space. It's exceptionally luxurious inside, all that wonderful stuff. Then to sit there and drive on the canyon roads and have this thing drive like it is, an SL, not an
like
S-Class.
half the car it is, yeah.
It was astonishing. And I mean, of course, having more than 1,000 foot-pounds of torque means that you're just squirting toward the horizon whenever you want anyway, So it's a pretty awesome thing. And then you can still use the carpool lane too, because you've got your green plate on. Like,
wait, the S63 gets a green plate?
Plug-in's
It's
got a
plug-in
green plate.
hybrid.
PHEV.
Yeah, but there's some exceptions. Like, I don't think the Hummer EV gets one. Like, I think
Because it's a commercial vehicle.
yeah, okay. All right, fair.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
cool. Yeah,
So
I'm with
I've
you.
addressed that one.
That's ridiculous. Hang on. Can we pause for just 1 second? Can we just address? I don't know what solution there. I just want to rant. This trend of, I've brought this up in a couple reviews. Oxymoronic fucking green vehicles.
Yeah.
Like the BMW XM, like this S63 e-Power,
Like the Rolls-Royce Spectre.
like the Rolls-Royce Spectre. These
At least the Rolls-Royce Spectre is full EV.
It's actually EV.
Yeah.
Like, it's pushing it, but like, okay, that gets a pass. But like, you have these vehicles that have a fire-breathing 600 horsepower gas engine and also a little fun-size battery, and therefore you get a green plate and carpool lane. Thanks for saving the planet.
That seems
like,
so wrong.
It just
It just seems backwards.
it just seems real. Or the McLaren Artura.
Yeah.
Like,
Green plates.
yeah. Like,
Did your
why?
McLaren
For what?
Artura press car have green plates?
It had green
GB
plates.
plates.
Spectacular.
I literally
Yeah.
awesome.
I felt like a massive asshole carpooling into the office.
By yourself, you mean?
By
Not
myself.
carpooling. You were just carpool lane.
by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carpool
With
lane
GB
hogging.
plates.
Yeah.
It
felt so wrong.
Nick and his ego.
Yes.
Carpooling together while driving that, yeah.
I don't know what the solution is. I
There
just
is
think
one.
it's dumb.
I think eventually as more and more EVs begin to
Yeah.
populate, like when Tesla sells 1 billion cars a day, like there's Tesla alone is moving that green vehicle market, and based on that, eventually I think they piloted, at least here in Ontario, that toll HOV system for a while. It's called like
Yeah.
HOT or HTO or
Yeah.
something.
It's still ongoing.
I think eventually it'll be like you can buy a pass, and like California, they stopped giving the stickers out. So even if you bought after a certain amount of time, there's a point where even if you bought a new EV, whatever brand it was, you didn't get it had to have the EV OK or a carpool lane HOV sticker
Yeah.
on the side of the back bumper, like this obnoxious mole. That was the only way you could access it. Eventually it's going to get there.
Yeah. But like back to your
Yeah.
point about like these oxymoronic vehicles. That's precisely why I prefer the S580E over whatever the hell variant you drove, Mr. Wilson, on your jet-setting adventures. I have no desire to attack canyons, carved
Do you
corners.
also have a desire to drive the lame engine with 6 cylinders in your S-Class?
There's straight
It's
six.
not
I
lame.
agree,
First of all,
no,
it's an
yeah.
inline six. Like,
Yeah.
inline sixes are hardly lame. Second of all,
Yeah.
that engine in particular is very well suited to the S-Class. It's very smooth.
Oh, it's
okay.
lovely. Like, I still prefer a V8, but like the PHEV makes a ton of sense.
Same.
Yeah,
It's,
I thought-
it's a wonderful situation in an E-Class. Yeah, I think that makes good
Yeah, I
sense.
agree. That's the thing. Like in an E, it makes sense. Even in I was just about to say we had a GLE a few months ago with that engine.
So apparently
That was good.
So apparently,
No, that was a 4-popper in that engine.
No, it wasn't. It was a
Yeah,
straight
it was.
6.
No, it was a 4-popper. Because we
Four-cylinder.
thought it was the 6-cylinder. I'm like, man, the 6-cylinder feels kind of like a lame duck. And then
Oh, it
we
was a
found it
4-cylinder.
and we found it wasn't a 6-cylinder at all.
Oh,
That's
I'm
why it
sorry.
felt kind of lame.
actually, funny you mention that. I recently found out that you can actually get that combination in the GLE, the straight 6 plus the plug-in hybrid powertrain in the States.
Oh, it's called a GLE 580E, isn't
Yes.
it? Yes, you're right. It does
interesting
agree.
piece of trivia. But with all due respect, Jeff, you are wrong.
I actually don't think he is. I'm going to side with him here, sort of.
Yeah. No, because we said like V8 or PHEV. We like both. He's found both.
Yeah, he's actually right.
I'll give it to
What's your next grievance?
Well, heck it, no, pause.
Go ahead, sorry.
Pause.
Because there was a keen opportunity to like circle jerk the B58 from BMW there that we didn't take, and I'm a little upset about it. So we're just going to gloss over that. Jeff,
no.
have you driven the new? Sorry.
Oddly enough, we're going to work that into the next grievance.
Okay, then I will just let you talk.
All right.
All right.
Here we go. So, last week's podcast, there was all this wonderful love for the ND Miata. And hey, I get it. It's a spectacular little car.
It's pretty good.
fantastic. But you guys are sitting there comparing it to a 6-figure Boxster, and that's just silly. And you did,
It
in fairness,
absolutely
say
is
that
not.
nobody's going to cross shop that, and I get it. But to even sit there and put them into the same discussion is absurd. Because honestly,
now you're asking not to be invited back to.
Well,
back
hang
to
on.
this.
I see Jeff's point. No one's cross shopping these things.
Exactly.
which
like,
you
it
guys
was-
did say, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But then you went and said, well, there's this big price gap between the Z4 and the Boxster, the base Boxster. And that was why the Z4 warranted all this extra love and adoration.
2 more cylinders, baby.
Listen, that wasn't
it's
me.
so much more expensive than the ND Miata. So where is this price justification, sizing everything up here for you?
All right, there's 2 things at play here. Number 1, BMW. 2, I feel like that powertrain combo in that vehicle is much more characterful. It sounds way better. It's a fucking shitload faster. It's smoother. It's better on gas.
It's more cohesive overall.
It's more cohesive, and it's a better daily.
It's more muscular.
Like the thing,
Boxster.
just like it rode more comfortable. It was quieter when you wanted to be quieter. It was sillier when you wanted to be sillier with it. I think it did that jack of all trades thing better than the Boxster does.
I'm sorry, can I just ask what the price difference is again between a nicely equipped Z4 M40i and the Barbie Boxster?
So the loaded press car I had last year was $88,000.
Okay.
And the style edition, the 17 style edition we had was 104.5.
And what if you took away the style edition package and had a regular Boxster spec'd exactly the same way?
Like
high 90s, I think.
95.
Okay, so the difference is about $7,000.
Yeah.
I'll have the Boxster.
Absolutely.
I'll have the Boxster. It's just
Not
so
even
much
close.
more. Man, like I'm a B58 evangelist along with you guys through and through. B58 and ZF 8-speed transmission, one of the best powertrain combinations you can buy today, by far. I agree.
I don't know. You stuttered.
But
You're a
not,
powertrain combination.
but not beating the dead horse that you guys flogged and flogged and flogged.
For the
in
record,
last
I wasn't
week's,
there.
Yeah, fair enough. In last week's podcast. The answer is none of those cars again. It's the Supra. Because now you're getting...
Okay, so hang on. I have thoughts about the Supra.
well-sorted stick shift. And hey, the jury's still out on what the Z4 is going to do.
You are going to blow the car speakers of anyone listening, Nathan. Shut up. But also, I have thoughts about the Supra. I felt, when it first came out, I loved it. And maybe I was hyped about the fact, and I was a little clouded by the return of a legendary name that I personally hold in very high regard, having grown up in the Fast and the Furious era, blah, 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 blah. Being a Toyota junkie growing up.
Powered by, nonetheless, God's own engine.
Right. But my point is, when I started driving them more and more, the ride is way too choppy. The interior is a little tighter than I'd like, and maybe the Z4 with its opening top makes that feel a little airier. You cannot drive a Supra with the windows down because of the wind buffeting. And something about it just didn't sit quite as right with me as it did when it first came out. And I think the Z4, the Boxster, the Miata, everything else does it a little better. I don't really love the Supra anymore.
No, I'm not accepting that for 2 reasons. One, if you buy any new car, it's going to be a giant boat that rides like a cloud.
Not necessarily.
No, not if you buy a Miata or a Boxster.
For you personally.
Oh, me. I'm not buying anything new anyway. What new giant boat would I buy?
Well, even your Lexus is still this big floaty Grand Touring car.
2 of them.
Exactly.
They're both big floaty things.
Exactly.
Yes, but
It's
one
not a
sounds
sports
ridiculous.
car. So anything
very
that's a
true.
sports car is going to feel rough and abrupt and choppy.
No, but I
to
don't
you.
feel that way about the Boxster or the Miata or the Z4. Everything I just said about the Supra doesn't apply to those. And I would indeed buy a Boxster, I would indeed buy an ND Miata, and I would indeed buy a Z4. If I were in the market for those cars, none of those complaints that I just made would apply.
Now, the other argument is that 75% of us sitting around this table have no business driving convertibles anyway for fear of skin cancer because we have so little hair left.
That being said, there is a right answer here.
Okay.
Nathan has bought one of the cars on that list.
He finally ponied up and got the Z4. Oh, God, somebody bought one.
All this B58 talk, is that what you've bought?
It is the best motor in the world.
But did you buy it?
No.
So you bought the pink Boxster.
Well, I couldn't spring for the BMW.
I see. So what have you acquired, Nathan?
I bought the press Miata. I bought the red one.
We are so happy for you.
Ooh.
Fucking yes.
That car is lovely.
You went to LA about a year ago.
Yeah.
And
I fell
I
in love
believe
with it
I
then.
convinced you that you should
did.
extend your press trip
Yep.
and stay for an extra week and just fuck around with the car and the
Yep.
roads while you're there.
Yeah.
And our friends at Mazda hooked you up with an ND. I believe that was your first time with an extended time in an ND.
That is correct.
And you came back and you had this sheepish smile on your face like you just met the love of your life when you came home.
I did.
And I've seen you after dates after you've said you've met the love of your life. And you had a bigger smile than any of those times.
God, I hope none of them are listening right now.
I was just about to say that. Don't worry. They should, Anyway, so you came back, and now you have acquired this car?
Yeah, so the whole thing with that is that I wasn't sure that car in that paradise setting would live up to reality. And then we got that red Miata over the Christmas break, and we had it again recently for this Boxster comparison. And it's like, no, it holds up actually great. I need it.
Third time's the charm.
yeah.
That's what did you in.
It's like the polar opposite scenario of having it in California. So you're on vacation, it's perfect weather, perfect roads,
That's the
perfect
thing.
everything there,
Yeah.
as opposed to gray, cold.
Sitting on the QEW in -2 degrees in traffic, and
With
I
his
still
top
love
down
it.
and his stupid Home Depot toque on, it's a sight to watch. He's wearing his Nathan blazer and a Home Depot toque. He has this big smirk on his face, top down, heat on, windows up, and he just looks hilarious.
fucking great.
But he was so happy.
And
Yeah,
I
He's
was going to
happy.
say,
That's all that matters.
right, if you could be happy in that scenario with a car, you've made the right pick.
It's cheaper than
Absolutely.
therapy, man.
So now every single one of us has owned a Miata, yeah?
Yeah.
Does that make the only car that every single one of us has owned? I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Nick
Wait,
hasn't-
hold
yeah.
on, pause. Jeff, have you had a BMW 5 Series?
No.
Yeah.
Lots of 3 Series.
Yeah. You had an E90 at one point.
Yeah. 2
Did-
points.
Je-
I had two
Jeff,
E90s.
yeah, Jeff had multiple E90s.
Yeah.
You've never had a 3 Series, Nick.
No.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Miata is the only car that all four of us
There we
have
go.
owned.
That's because it is, in fact, the answer.
And between all of us, we've owned the NA, the NB, the NC, and the ND.
All generations.
Spectacular. We've done it right. Congratulations, Nathan. That is a wonderful car. I am truly envious, even though I don't really fit in it.
Are you going to drive it all year?
All year.
Good for you. I drove my NC all year as well,
Yeah.
and that was the best.
I have every intention of driving the fucking wheels off this thing.
It's a goddamn lease. You better drive it all year. This is why I drive my LC all year. It's a waste, and I'll feel cheap not using it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
So
This is
it's
cool.
a Soul Red GSP with a sport package.
For the sport pack, yeah.
Perfect spec.
Perfect spec.
Perfect spec.
I don't know if I love the way Soul Red has aged, but it's still a very pretty
aged
color. It's a
beautifully.
color. It's not
it looks-
gray, silver, white, or black like every other car on the road, so
I
it's
get
great.
that Soul Red's like, I love it, but it is a tiny bit done.
Yeah.
It's been done. We've seen it, but like, there's no other great colors on the GSP. Like
They don't
to,
make
to
any
get
nice
that sport pack.
blues, any
They
nice-
do, but only on the GT.
They make a nice blue?
Yeah, there's that nice dark blue.
Yeah, but it's
Oh, yeah, they do.
Engelsman has one.
That's right,
Yeah.
he does. No, but he's now wrapped it light blue like his old one.
Whatever.
it's so basically black.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've started to like navy blue. So again, like dark green's made a comeback. Now navy blue's almost making a comeback. It's like a really nice regal looking color.
Dark green never made a comeback, though. That's just
Have you been to the internet?
No, he's old.
Or you being facetious?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And just because we know someone that bought like a spectacular show car in the most drab color ever.
What color would you have bought your Lexus LC in if you had bought a Lexus LC?
That nice blue color that's new this year.
Ultrasonic Blue 2.0.
Yes.
That would have been my
baby.
second choice.
Is
Well,
that
if I
the- is
didn't
that
get Nori
the
Green, that would have
light
been
blue?
my,
That
no.
was,
It's like the medium. It's the
oh, the
color of
me-
the,
the-
convertible press
yeah,
car we had.
okay.
Yeah, the one
No,
that I'm
it's
still in love with. and
copper.
Still.
Yeah.
Copper.
The red color that was like the show car color from whenever that
Oh,
car
yeah, that's
first
gorgeous.
came out.
Yeah.
That
I
will
feel
never
like
get tired of that car.
I feel like any red sports car is kind of cliche.
Have you owned a red sports car before this one?
No,
I have a question.
I've never owned a sports car. Come to
What
think
is
of
the
it.
appeal? If you told any female friends of yours about this Miata yet?
Yes,
What was the reaction from girls? I'm very curious to know about like Miatas and.
she loved it.
Really?
She loved it
dig
when I
'em.
had it a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's right. You just had it.
Yeah.
Ah,
She's like, this thing's the best. This is super cute and sexy and fun. That's cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because because everything is a blah crossover, anything that's small and like interesting looking, and a
Yeah.
Miata is visually interesting, is automatically neat.
It's true, and it's funny because when we started doing this, Nick and I have talked about this a lot over the last decade, that all these that people think that driving around in cool cars attracts the opposite gender. It does not. It actually just attracts a colossal amount of dudes.
Dude magnets.
Yeah.
Like motorcycles are the same.
I distinctly remember that there was a young journalist years and years ago who was in the business. I don't know if he's still around, but we were in the U.S. press event, and he had just driven a GTR press car, and he thought it would help him get girls. A Nissan GTR.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Never.
Like,
no.
You know what actually works really well? This is kind of a gross topic. Let's get off this quick. But what actually works really well, and you're not going to believe me, but I swear to God, my stupid Jaguar.
You're a green Jaguar
my
sedan.
XJR.
I believe it.
Got a lot of attention. Positive attention that you would want to have.
They're all
interesting.
From,
because they don't.
Shall we say the geriatric age?
No, not necessarily. Because they don't know what it is. They just see pretty nice car. They see the exotic ornament. It's a color. Okay.
And they ask you to pick up some bottles of Ensure on the way home.
Man, shut the fuck up. Can we circle back around to something really quick here?
No.
The Supra point. So there's a point that I wanted to make about that I think is important. The Supra, especially versus the Z4, the Supra is a wonderful sports car. I have my own little grievances about the way it handles. But it's not a good car. It's not a good daily. It is there's no cargo space. You can't have the windows down. It's too impractical to be a normal car. It's about as practical as a Miata in roughly the same price bracket as a Z4. The Z4 delivers 95% of the performance edge in a way better car. So you get a way bigger trunk, a way better ride, and a convertible top. How they managed to do both those things at the same time is insane, but they did it. And a car that drives 95% as well, and I personally think looks better.
And now you can't even play the manual transmission card because the Z4 is getting the stick with the inline six.
That is the problem with the Supra.
And if we've discovered anything recently, it's that BMW is absolutely nailing their stick shifts lately, right?
I would get one with the ZF8 anyway. But so I drove the stick Supra last year. I didn't love it. I thought it felt weird and disconnected, and the rear subframe was bouncing around too much, and I didn't love it.
But that's how BMW manuals have always felt. I don't mind it. I feel like it's part of the character. I've always liked them.
I feel yes, on an older car that it kind of blends in and works. On a new car, everything is super tight, except that it don't work. It falls into this weird uncanny valley of there's a disconnect here where there shouldn't be. I bought this to get rid of that disconnect, and it's only more apparent.
Interesting. I kind of agree with you because I felt that way about the new M2. Didn't really speak to me the way a first gen does.
Which is what I drove back to back with that Supra that you're referring to with the stick shift. And by comparison, look, the M2 is unquestionably the better choice if you're out there to be the fastest guy at track day.
Yeah.
Great. It's an exceptional weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the Supra, if you're going to actually drive your car and use it day to day and not just for track days, the Supra is far, far more engaging. It's a far more interesting
100% buy that.
car.
The Supra's a way better driver's car than the M2.
And it's just fun. I got into that. I love the look of it still.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That's a great looking car.
Every time I got into it, I was so happy. Much like when I've got a Miata parked in my driveway.
Yeah.
And, I love that it's out there. I'm looking for excuses to drive it.
Yeah. You know what? I want to walk back my comment. The Supra's a better looking car than the Z4. It still looks like fucking super cool. That car looks rad as hell. They crushed that design, even if it absolutely ruined its ability to have its windows down.
Do you guys think the Mark IV Supra has aged well from a design perspective?
No.
The big bulbous one that I love with the big spoiler?
No.
Really? You guys don't like it, eh?
No.
It's a good looking car, but it's not
I love
amazing.
That Supra.
Yeah.
Even when it was new, I didn't think it was
really. Do you like the other generations better?
The second generation,
Mark II and Mark III.
The Celica Supra or the Mark III?
The Mark III is the one with the T-top. The Celica Supra was the Mark II.
Yeah, the Mark II was, I think, the most interesting of them, and that one really stood out, and it was really of its era. Mark IV. So that was the
bulbous one. Yeah, the one I like.
In that era, when you're going up against the 300ZX and the RX-7, those were both stunning cars.
I thought all three of them, if you had to ask me to decide which is the prettiest, I couldn't because I love them all so much.
The Mark IV is definitely iconic.
Yes.
But the FD RX-7 is just much more achingly gorgeous.
That is one of the prettiest cars ever made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really?
Possibly the only car to make a door seam sexy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's the FD RX-7 is gorgeous. I thought I love them all. Even 300ZX Supra, love them all. Every single one of those. Skyline does nothing for me in any generation. S15 Sylvia, yes. None of the Skylines.
I've always liked angular utilitarian-y looking cars. So like a two-door angular-y looking car, like a Skyline. That's always really spoken to me.
Like a Dodge Daytona.
Yes, like a Dodge Daytona.
Like a Sundance hatchback.
Jeff, do you have any more grievances you want to air?
Jeff, what are you in this week?
This week, I have the Barbie special Porsche, and I've also got the F-Type, probably that you guys have also had. Recently too,
I had
right?
that last fall. It was cold. It was like October.
Right. And so I don't normally book two cars at the same time, but the idea this week was to experience all of the convertibles that I could get my hands on reasonably at the same time.
What, the Miata wasn't available? I guess because Nathan bought it.
Well, that's just
It's just sitting lonely waiting for its last booking.
So the idea is that, hey, if you've got a Roadster, drive the damn thing, even if it's all year round. So that was kind of the impetus of this week's bookings.
That's pretty cool.
And that's also why it was such a timely thing to come in and berate you guys for,
Absolutely.
For kind of crapping on that Boxster, because it is pure magic. It was one of those things. I got into it yesterday, late afternoon, and it's been the season of grayness throughout the Toronto area. We've had like a Vancouver winter now, right? We've had no snow. It's just been gray. It's been just miserable, sloppy, horrible winter. And during this season, you typically get saddled with a lot of SUVs and just sort of more pedestrian vehicles. And to get into this ridiculous colored, pure sports car and start driving it, I was grinning the whole hour drive home. It was absolutely fantastic.
You gone top down yet?
Yes, but just for the photo shoot.
You didn't drive? You don't own a hat?
What's that?
You don't own a hat?
I don't own a hat. No, I don't.
You go on all these press trips and you don't get to keep the free hats?
No.
You don't have like a hat that says a Crosstrek on it or something?
I do not, no.
It's funny because that very F-Type you have, one of the last of an era, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's the V8 supercharged. I actually was having a conversation earlier this week with friend of the podcast, Thomas Hundel, about that exact F-Type. And he brought up a point, because he and I are both, fans of the LC500, and he's like, about the same money for V8 supercharged F-Type or the LC500. And I think we both, I see what your head is doing, and my head did the same thing. Right, Nathan? Like it's a very, the LC is strikingly beautiful.
Easy choice for me.
But so is the F-Type. No.
Choice.
Hey, LC?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, me too, obviously. But hang on. But I have thoughts. While the LC is the objectively better car in every way.
It's not even objective, it's subjectively too.
Yeah, subjectively, but
God, normally
when you're shopping in this segment, it is all subjective.
Yes.
You buy what your heart tells you to buy. Fuck the numbers. Because
Even
all
if
of
the
them
color
are
is
fast,
completely
all of
wrong.
them are pretty, all of them are fast, all of them are pretty, all of them are the same amount of expensive. They all do, they all do everything pretty much right. Let's go coupe to coupe or convertible to convertible, right? Because they're both available in both configurations. The LC is the better car, but the F-Type is so theatrical and dramatic, and I'm here for it. I think it's fucking sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I fucking love that car.
Right? Like, I'm going to miss the F-Type when it's gone. I loved the F-Type when it first came out. It's been on sale for over a decade. I think it's one of those cars that, I guess, kind of like how we look at the E-Type now, but in a different way. Like, the E-Type then was ahead of its generation beautiful. I wouldn't necessarily say the F-Type is. I think it's beautiful. I don't think it's ahead of its generation beautiful. Right? Because, the LC looks futuristic and pretty. The Boxster's just, pretty because it's a Porsche. The F-Type's pretty. When the F-Type was new, the Alpha 4C was out. That was pretty. Like, all these cars are pretty, right? But I think both of those cars with the big V8s are just such cool cars, and it's such a fucking shame that they're not going to exist. Like, Lexus there was rumors earlier this week that the LC and the RC are going to consolidate into one hybrid sports car, which means the V8's dead. Right, the V8. I mean, that naturally aspirated 5 liters, one of the only naturally aspirated engines left anywhere. Kind of why I bought that car, because it's last of its kind. But that F-Type, man, it's a cool car.
It's so good. For me, as much as I love the LC, and if you've heard me sing the praise of that car, I love that thing. No contest F-Type.
Really? Well, yeah, but you also like dumb British things.
You're a masochist, yeah. So
I do like dumb British things, but also for about the same money, I get approximately 200 more horsepower.
It's not 200
150 more.
Bro, less than
150. You have like what, 470?
471. Isn't it 550 in the Jag?
It's like 580.
Oh, okay. So 100 more horsepower.
So 100 more horsepower, all-wheel drive, so I can drive it all year round, not getting stuck on like driveways like you do.
Yeah, I mean...
And like... The LC sounds very good. That F-Type is not from this planet. It sounds like a dragon gurgling bees.
I think the F-Pace SVR does that engine sound better. I think
Agreed.
the F-Type's theatrics are a little bit artificial.
It's a little too quiet and too loud. The F-Pace blended them together a little better.
Yeah. But the F-Type, the F-Pace, why the fuck are they all called the same thing? Anyway, the SUV is so wicked cool. I think that is the coolest thing in its segment.
Yeah.
The F-Pace SVR, it's a shame nobody buys it because it's wicked.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Everybody should buy one.
Yeah, put that exhaust on an F-Type, and it's a flawless car.
There you go.
What kind of ruins it for me is that over the years, like, the F-Type unquestionably kicked off this whole burble tune thing.
We talked about this, the snap crackle pop thing.
Which has been done to death both by
played out now.
Both by other automakers and the aftermarket. And I think that's what kind of ruins the F-Type for me. As much as I love it, that ruins it for me. But
I get that.
The LC cab specifically is the only instance where I prefer the convertible over the coupe.
Interesting.
Because it lets you listen to that delicious, normally aspirated V8 that much better.
Okay,
and what gets me every time, I just play that sound of that crack of the exhaust on upshifts in my head every time, and I get goosebumps. We
were out in mine today and blasted a couple shifts at red line, and we're like, yeah, this is good in sport. And Nick was giggling like a schoolgirl the whole time.
Literally just like this.
Yeah. No, I agree. And while you're right, you can hear it better in a convertible. The coupe looks better to me.
Agreed.
Like every day of the week, the coupe with its carbon roof looks just incredible. I think it's one of the most timeless designs available today. I think that's a car that we'll still think is wicked. I actually think it looks better than the LFA from a looks standpoint. There's no disputing that the V10 exhaust of the LFA, but I think the LC is prettier. And I think that it's, you're right though. I think the burble tune's done, but overall theatrics, the F-Type does it so well.
I will concede though that I'll concede to Nathan's point that the F-Type being all-wheel drive, that does carry some appeal in like this market where we're supposed to get snow.
Yeah, and it's not like it's heavier and numb for it. Like it's still wacky.
I think look, you could get 10 years ago, you could get a Jaguar XKR, which had the big supercharged V8, and then you could get from the same relative family, you could get the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, which had a big naturally aspirated V8 and sounded theatrical. Now, the Vantage sounds like a slightly better AMG GTC, and the LC does the best job of sounding like what the Vantage should sound like, also has the timeless design. I think it's the better upgrade from a Jag if you're going for that. I totally get you.
The LC sounds a lot more musical. Like they've put a lot of attention in making it sound pretty. The F-Type sounds nasty, and I love it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm with you. I think so. Both are the correct answers there.
Yeah, I don't think
there's no wrong answer. There's no right answer.
Wonderful cars. Jeffrey, thoughts?
Does anyone do an aftermarket exhaust for the LC?
Oh yeah, lots of them.
I figured as much.
Lots and
lots.
And
how does that sound?
I don't know. I haven't cared to look because I fucking care.
Well, no, because if that's the only reason to pick an F-Type over an LC is that it sounds better.
Well, Nathan said something about 100 more horsepower and all-wheel drive.
It's faster. I like that
it doesn't feel it. Like neither one of them
that
feel
car's faster than the other. You're right.
I don't know, man. I like Jags.
Neither one of them feel that fast if you start driving electric cars these days.
It's true.
Like you can drive a Hellcat and be kind of underwhelmed by it if you've driven whatever, a Lucid or something, I mean, it's,
or like a Mach-E GT.
Right.
They're all fucking fast.
Or a Kia
the
EV6
GT. Yeah, it's
exactly.
all the same.
Yeah.
Like all of them are just fast.
It's all about how it makes you feel, and that F-Type made me feel things, whereas the LC Also did. Love it. Like, this is, like, there's no wrong answer here, but I just preferred the F-Type just a little bit more. It spoke to me just that last little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree at all.
There you go.
So there's no, for once.
Hold on, Jeff didn't give an answer here.
Yeah,
Well,
which would you have?
Oh, absolutely the LC. No question.
Oh, so 3 of the 4 would have the LC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But all 4 of us like both cars a lot.
Yes, although I like the F-Type far less now than I did 10 years ago when it came out.
Yeah.
At that point, I liked the original nose on it better than the new one.
Yes, that's the other thing. They JLR did kind of sort of spoil it just a little bit after this 3rd refresh, I think.
I don't know. I like
so much preferred this nose.
I like the new nose too. Yeah.
I like the one that came that came just before this one. So like the 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I don't know. I like them all.
It's like a slight evolution.
They all look good.
I don't like vertical headlights on anything.
Vertical head. Okay. Yeah.
Or like with the straight back, like the first F-Type.
Yeah.
Like the
I agree. I see. Hey now. You watch your mouth.
And then I don't know, the other, like the interior, obviously it's now 10 years old, and they've not really done anything to improve
Just
it.
improve the infotainment and like nips.
Well, they got it right the
tucks
first time. Whatever.
Not kind with anything on that one. I've always liked the F-Type's cockpit and the new infotainment. I did say cockpit. I know damn well what I said.
No, Jeff, I think I'm with these guys too. That like, yeah, sure, it's just lightly improved, but it was fine to begin with. It wasn't like
it was a lovely environment.
It's not egregious. Every time I get into one now, I don't think, oh my god, this feels ancient.
Yeah, I can't believe they haven't fixed this yet. What do you fix?
The only egregious aspect really was the infotainment, and they fixed that a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, you know what the biggest problem is, I guess I'm having with it this week, is I'm also driving it back to back with a Porsche.
Yeah, but you're also a slappy for the Porsches.
There is no substitute.
Okay.
But there is. The answer is Miata.
We've established this. So what are your thoughts on the Boxster?
I just love its purity. You know, it's one of those cars that everything about it, even though I don't love that it's a 4-cylinder. I heard what you said there about it sounding like a Subaru, and
you've owned your fair share of Subarus.
That's right. I like the 4-cylinder Boxster engine in Subarus,
same
in 3.56s, but yeah, I don't know. I was hard on it in the beginning, but now it's like I don't mind it so much. Now that said, I would never buy it new anyway. Like a new 4-cylinder 718 doesn't make any sense to me when you can buy a used 6-cylinder.
Yeah, that's
one.
the thing. A 981 Boxster came in like 2015, 16, whatever that last bit was. 981.2, I guess, with the naturally aspirated flat 6, the stick. Like the nicest S or GTS in the world is like $55,000.
This is the thing. You flip a couple pages back in Porsche's Rolodex, you get more or less the same car with a vastly superior engine for like not a ton more money than the stupid Miata that I just bought. Like, okay, now you got a business case. Now you're cooking. I get you. That makes all the sense in the world.
And like, I don't want to get into this again because we definitely covered it a bit beforehand. But just to briefly rehash, as much as we preferred new versus new, ND over Boxster, that answer changes quite a bit when you start looking to the used market. But again, I don't want to get into this again because literally we talked about this last episode.
Much of the flogging has been done.
Yes.
Exactly.
Jeff, you were at the Toronto Auto Show. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us about it?
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
We're supposed to talk about that.
Nick, how are we doing for time?
We're doing great for time. We got maybe like 10, 15 minutes to talk about the Toronto Auto Show.
Very good.
I like that the Toronto Auto Show, especially compared to New York lately, LA lately, the last couple of years. I didn't do Chicago, but both the New York and LA shows the last few years have seemed a mere shadow of their former selves.
Yep.
And so that's been kind of depressing. Toronto has done a fabulous job, though, of really trying to bring back the energy that there once was with the auto show. And if nothing else, even if we're still lacking some of the big players, I mean, a lot have come back this year, but there are still some missing. But you got to admit, though, that nobody's doing these car shows with exotics the way that Toronto does. Like, they've got so many interesting...
They really do. Like, they roll out the cool stuff.
Yeah. So that, I think, that makes it really special because, even though as a kid, the auto show was like second Christmas to me. That was something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Right?
It was the one day my dad would let me take off school on a weekday, and he and I would go and spend the day and I'd be looking at all the cars, getting into whatever I could. Yeah, like that was the one thing. Now it's work, and I hate it.
Yeah, we're not doing anything tomorrow, are we?
Don't you dare.
And that's the thing. Now, for the most part, all the new cars are like, been there, done that, whatever, got it.
Yeah, I drove that one, I drove that one, I drove that one, I farted in that one.
And often it's that exact one.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that one.
That one, yeah.
But still, with the Toronto show, they do a good job of bringing in enough other things. Again, these exotics that
like the Cobble Beach exhibit.
And
that was really cool. Like Ferrari had
a
a setup there of all just classic stuff. I don't know if it was Ferrari or a sponsor.
It was
Ferrari of Ontario.
Yeah, really? Okay, yeah.
That's actually, I believe that's the owner, Remo Ferry's personal collection.
Yeah.
Wow.
The 288 GTO, the F40, the Enzo,
the Daytona.
I believe the Daytona.
Oh my God, that Daytona, my God.
The Vice City Stinger.
The presentation on that with like the wheels off on jack stands, that was a really cool. Like
that was incredible.
If you were to explain that to me, like, oh yeah, they took it apart. Like that. All right, that sounds dumb. It sounds like it got like mugged. But in the flesh, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
It was worth going to the show just to see things like that. I thought.
Last year
we saw the Shakes Countach that we lost to at Cobble Beach again.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was nice to see it there. I was like, hello, old friend.
Yeah, fuck you.
The other thing, though, about the auto shows, and it's not just the Toronto, it's any auto show, is that I think more and more the OEMs are driving this model toward consumers doing almost all of the shopping experience for a new car online.
Yeah.
And it is far too important to have that touchy-feely experience with a car that if you're not really going to go and do all the different dealership visits and whatever else, at least make your short list as a consumer by going to the auto show. Go in and sit in all the things.
Just check these things out in person. You have to. Like, you can study all you want. It doesn't make a difference to you, like asses in seats.
Exactly right. Yep. Yeah, because if that driving position doesn't work for you, then it doesn't matter how many reviews out there glow about that particular car and how good its infotainment system is, how great its engine is, how efficient it is. None of that's going to matter if the seat is uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
So that's an important
thing. Yeah, and that varies so much from person to person too. Like the things you might care about don't affect me at all, and vice versa.
Yeah, and I don't know though. I'm seeing it as one of those things with so many major automakers. I'm just gonna call out like the ones that weren't there were like Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, Mazda, Honda, Acura, like major brands that just didn't bother to come because they see that, or they have determined that for their audience there is no value in the show, and they don't spend the money to be there, and they will sell just as many cars this year with or without the show. And with you're saying about with purchasing going online, I don't think purchasing online is really like after your house, your car is the biggest purchase you make.
No, but
right?
I mean like so much of the buying process. Like so much of buying is shopping around and deciding, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But I just think that there is so much information available online. There's all the press releases, so many photos. You could find like a 300 photo gallery on, say, Toyota.ca of whatever the latest Corolla is. And you can see exactly every angle, virtual tours, 360-degree views. And it's like, I kind of, it hurts me. It pains me to say, I don't know that this auto show model is going to be there in the next decade. I see it dwindling more. That being said, like they keep saying that attendance is higher than ever. With fewer and fewer automakers every year, the overall number, like okay, VinFast was there, great, but like those are the brands that need awareness that people don't know they exist. But like the actual brands that people are buying millions and millions of don't give enough of a shit to be there, and that's telling as well.
Yeah, and because, like, I get what you mean that there's no, or like a difficult to justify business case, especially with the, from what I understand, like insanely high cost of being there. Okay, we got to outlay $2 million or whatever it is to be there for the week and set up, and like, are we going to get that $2 million back?
Destruction of vehicles.
Yeah,
like cars get annihilated on the show circuit when millions of people are getting in and out of them. Like everything breaks.
Yeah, like a lot goes into it, and I get that, but it's also kind of like, yo, man, be cool.
No, I agree. Don't get me wrong. I love the auto show. I'll be upset if it's no more a thing. But like guys, like we used to it's just like Nick, Jeff, and I started in this industry just over a decade ago, and we remember how much fun Detroit and LA used to be. And for Jeff to say, which he just did about 5 minutes ago, that they're a shadow of their former selves, that almost hurts to hear, but I agree.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks. That used to be almost like the party of the year for us. We'd go and we'd do work and we'd hang out, and
it was an annual pilgrimage to LA.
Yeah, it was
Detroit,
a pilgrimage to be able to see these cars too, to see the global premieres.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and no one's doing premieres there anymore. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Like the premieres at the shows has fallen off a cliff. They're just doing their own things online now, and I think that's taken a lot of the steam out of it.
Right,
you got to go to the Toronto show or Detroit or whatever to see so and so new Viper or whatever it is from Chrysler. You don't have to do that anymore.
Nope.
Yeah,
I think that's what's taking a lot of wind out of the sails. Like there's the consumer education part of it that brands are split on whether or not there's value to it.
They're only there for the consumer education at this point.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The glamour.
The flash
It's definitely
not there.
It's definitely not there for us. I mean, from a coverage, from a news perspective,
there's nothing to say.
Yeah,
we already know most of what there is to know about.
Yeah,
and we've already educated our audience too, and we've talked about the cars because, frankly, if someone wants to read news, they're going to go online, and the day after any car is revealed, there's 1,000 news opinions and rehashed press releases. We want to tell our audience, and you guys do a sensational job of that every week on our content and our podcast, about the actual opinion of how it feels inside that car. What's the experience like, both from an enthusiast and a consumer point of view? So, from a news, this is what we saw at the auto show, meh.
Yeah, and we even forget that, that's a thing. Manufacturers do rollouts at shows now. Subaru had a brand new, all new 25 Forester on the showroom floor. We forgot it was fucking there. Really? That? Oh shit! Look at that!
Important.
And then we went over and checked it out. But it was
and it's one of their biggest cars, and we had no idea. It's just that. I think that's the key element that's missing, is that the reveals aren't being done there anymore.
Yeah.
Which leads me to say that at some point they're going to turn in the towel.
Yeah. Or it'll turn around. Maybe they'll see maybe there was a return on that. Let's start doing that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
I hope you're right. I really hope I'm wrong.
Especially compared to this year's show compared to last year's,
Yeah, because last year was a shell, dude. That was
last
lame.
year. I feel like last year was a bit of a red herring because that was the first Toronto Auto Show since lockdown.
Yeah.
And despite so many automakers having pulled out, and despite the show being a shell of its former shelf, now there's a tongue twister for you. Despite all that, it still managed to set record attendance, but
also because everyone was itching to
just
get
wanted
out.
to go
That's
out.
exactly
Everyone
it.
just wanted somewhere to go.
It's a weird year.
That's exactly it.
So it'll be telling this year.
Yeah, right? I think we have seen numbers come out, and this year, despite having fewer cars than usual, but more than last year, I'm fairly certain that although the official numbers didn't exactly meet last year's, they're still pretty strong in terms of opening weekend.
Yeah, hopefully it'll trend back upwards.
There's still some value from a consumer's perspective.
Yeah. It could also be a thing of because most of the brands that stepped out were upper crusty brands.
Cars that basically sell themselves.
Well, yeah, and they might have looked at and seen we're not going to capture any new buyers there this year because no one has any fucking money. So why are we going?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we cap off the show this week's episode real quick with our best in show.
Oh man, I haven't thought about this.
Best in show.
Best in show of all the cars.
All of them. Doesn't have to be a new car.
In the entire Metro Toronto Convention Center,
Enzo.
North and South buildings,
Enzo.
What are you taking home?
Enzo.
I think Addy is taking home the Ferrari Enzo.
Nick, have you thought about it? Do you know?
I'm taking home the Daytona that was parked right in front of the Enzo because that's such a striking color. That almost wine red.
I have a truck. I'll pick you up when you break down. But
Thank
yes,
you.
it is strikingly beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, if we're going with cars that break
Hands down,
I'll have to pick that Countach that beat out Addy earlier this year. Yeah, that was really good.
That was pretty sweet.
I would take the same car for that value.
So of the entire show, we're concentrating within the basement of the North building.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
only Italian cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
You know
where all the
what?
sweet
There
stuff
was a Porsche 356 rebodied by Zagato there.
That was cool.
Desperately pretty. There we go. I'll take that.
Yeah.
So nothing for the 2025 Subaru Forester then?
How about the Canadian spec GT3 that they unveiled there?
No.
Porsche GT3.
I mean, it's novel, I guess, but it's not something that I'd personally take home.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of the two-tone color on it either, but
Yeah. Why is it like off-center? Like that split between red and white?
Because race car.
That costs more money, Nick.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That package is the Canadian Maple Leaf Platinum package.
Oh.
That costs $8,700 and is part of the special wishes program. I'm making that up.
I looked on the build sheet. I don't know. Imran was with me when we were looking at this. That is actually $125,000 for that special edition.
Oh.
On top of the cost of a GT3 RS.
So wait, you can get, if you don't go for those special Canada-only trimmings, you can get a 911 GT3 and a base 718 Boxster for the price of this one.
Not a base.
Yeah.
You're getting a GTS 4-liter for $125, buddy.
Jesus!
Yeah. 110, 115 gets you a base GTS 4-liter with a 6-speed.
And a GT3.
Yep.
Or this one two-tone.
You could get a GT3 and a base LC 500. Because it's about $120. It's $115 for a base LC 500.
So the moral of the story tonight, then, gentlemen, is don't buy the sticker package for a Porsche. That's basically what
Pretty much,
That's
yeah.
what I'm hearing.
down
If you
to,
want
yeah.
Ruby Star Neo, just get a base Boxster. If you want a special two-tone red on white Canada only edition 1 of 1 GT3 or whatever, just get a regular GT3.
Yep.
Very well then. Thank you all for tuning in. Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell our dear listeners where to find your work?
Most likely you're going to find my stuff on autotrader.ca, Vicarious Magazine, Auto Guide, and of course DoubleClutch from time to time when that bastard of an editor finally lets me write something for it.
And and on that note, thank you all for tuning in. You can keep tabs on our automotive adventures at doubleclutch.ca on socials. Addie, Nathan, Jeff, thanks for joining.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for listening, guys. Take care.